This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to Teach Me Pokemon, the podcast. I'm your host, Corey, and along with my co-host, Jared, we're best friends, been playing Pokemon for a very long time.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Okay, maybe not Merry Christmas. Just felt like we needed Santa Claus. Welcome to another edition of the Teach Me Pokemon podcast. Corey, I am one of your hosts. Jared, your other host, also known as a co-host, I suppose. Jared, we're here, baby. Jared, are you ready for a lightning speed episode today?
It's going to be quick fire.
Yeah, this is quick fire. This is the one that you listen to when you're on the toilet and you got like 8 minutes before you got to go back to work. This is the quick one, okay?
Yep. You have this on, you're playing Pocket.
You're playing. We might have a fun episode next week for Pocket, for all you Pocket people, but we'll leave that as a surprise. Okay, Jared, I want to discuss what single card do you think is going to have the biggest impact post-rotation? And I know we're like not at rotation yet, so I know people are like, whoa, what are we talking about? But we get the privilege of looking to Japan, into city leagues, into the future. And Jared, I shot you a text, and I have a statement to kick us off here. There was one card when I go down the list of all the decks that won over the past, since March 2nd. So over the last 5 days in Japan, there's one card that seems to be popping up in all these decks, Jared, and it's Flareon Noctowl. Flareon Noctowl, Noctowl Charizard, Noctowl Wellspring Ogerpon, Noctowl Flareon, Noctowl Ogerpon, Ogerpon, Terapagos, Charizard, Terapagos, Ogerpon. Jared, is Noctowl the new MVP of decks moving into rotation or post-rotation?
I can't say no, right? You have Fanrodham to go find the Hoot-Hoots. That's not going anywhere. Finding colorless Pokemon that fit the HP range of the Fanrodham's ability, you're going to be able to do that, right? And I also understand things like Miraidon aren't going anywhere, but Miraidon is losing some big pieces, right?
Yes.
No more Raikou, no more ability to Earth and Seal Stone. But this engine isn't going anywhere. And I think that's what Japan has realized is if we want to keep ourselves moving and find specific cards, right? Not just draw into something, but find specific cards. Potentially this is the best way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of can look at whatever Tord starts to fancy, and the man is like 4/4 Noctowl line, and you're right. When it can find any two trainer cards, any trainer card probably gets you access into any card, right? If you're trying to hunt a stadium, find Chorus Experiment. If you need an energy, get Earthen Vessel. Like, you can find any item card, you can play it. If you need a supporter, you can play it. Like, you need to grab a tool card, Arven. Like, there's just all of the abilities are there, or the find any trainer card gets you any card, really, for the most part. So the Noctowl, Jared, I think is just going to be a staple, especially as we move into more like they print more Terra Pokemon. It just feels like the Noctowl just pairs so well with all those decks. And so
and then you area zero them away. It's not like they're a big liability anyway. And then if you want more bench space, then you just area zero them away. But that's here's my take on it. I want to hear what you quickly think about it. It's been a while since we've had a one prize mover or finder. Right? Like most of our Pokemon that were Vs, V-Stars, EXs, there was a cost. Like even one of our favorite decks, Goldingo, hey man, you want to draw a bunch of cards? That's going to come at a cost. But with Noctowl and Jewel Speaker, it's like, it's kind of back to the days that you and I are familiar with.
It is, yeah. It feels like, I think like the barrel might have been that in the last rotation, where it was a one prizer, draw until you have 5 cards. But the barrel always became more of a liability because there's a 2 retreat cost and things like that. Where the Noctowl, you drop it, you get your use out of it, and you go. It does feel a little bit more like that. But then you couple it with decks that can still draw cards with the Ogerpon. I've seen Charizard, Pidgeot's not going anywhere, so you could do Pidgeot with Noctowls and just go crazy with finding cards. But I just think this is going to be like I don't know what else to put in my deck. Let's just do a 4/4 Noctowl line, and I think that just can be justified. It literally can be justified in any Terra deck. I'm trying to think of a Terra deck that won't have Noctowl in it. I don't think that exists right now, Jared. I mean,
why? It's like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I mean, Dragonbolt seems to be the only one that doesn't care. Like, it can just keep going anyway without it. You don't really see Noctowl and Dragonbolt, but most other mainstream Terras you do.
So let me ask you this then, and one of this is based on a card that is in play right now, and this is also just like predicting future sets. So then, do you think Badoo becomes even stronger because it forces you into taking a supporter card or potentially a stadium card? Like, you're not going to go find an item card because of Badoo Lock?
Does that make Badoo stronger? That's what
will we see more Badoo because there's more Noctowl is my question.
I don't know if it'll matter. I think as a Badoo player, you're focused in on, I'm just going to try to slow my opponent down. And if they have a boss to get around this, they have a boss. And the Noctowl can still just get around it anytime it wants with the supporter. So I think it's like a Noctowl player would be frustrated by a Badoo, but I don't think they care. A Badoo player feels confident that they're locking down a Noctowl, but they don't feel overly confident. So is that I'm not trying to have a cop-out. I just think on both sides okay.
It's true because, again, that Fan Rotom we know can find both the Hoot and the Noctowl. So, if you see that and you know that your opponent is running some type of archetype that runs Badoo, then you're just going to get different resources.
You would get different resources. I will say, though, if you go first as Noctowl player and you go Fan Rotom, you do your Hoots, your Noctowl, more times than not, you have to nest ball into a Terra Pokemon, mainly Terrapagos, or you have to rare candy into Charizard, or you're going to have to evolve Eevee into Flareon, Sylveon, whatever, or you nest ball into the Ogerpons. So you have to item card into those Terra. And if you can't get the Terra, the Noctowl doesn't do anything. So maybe the Badoo player very early on does feel like, I have an advantage here, until they drop a Terra from their hand. And then the Badoo player's like, unlucky, that kind of thing. But so maybe advantage Badoo player if they go second into that scenario.
Okay, then here's my second question that I was going to ask you. Are we gonna move back into some type of meta where abilities of non-EX or Terra Pokemon can be shut down? Like, do you foresee a future set offering players an option to just lock down abilities because this is so strong and so prevalent?
It's like we script these out, Jared. We really don't, but you just led me. You led the horse to water. And I would say my second most impactful card, and some would argue it's already impactful, like Noctowl is right now. But the Munkidori is going to see increased play where you're almost building your decks around Munkidori. We're starting to see more Frostlass type decks, this spread. The Munkidori is essential. And so that is a non-EX or, a non-EX ability. You have to, something will want to shut that down.
Yeah.
Just like Noctowl needs to get shut down. So I do think something's probably coming where it can do that. I always want to call it Tyranitar, and it's not Tyranitar. Iron Thorns will shut down the other abilities, but not the non-EX one. So I think it's coming. I think that there can't be a game of Pokemon. Jared, there could be Garbodor waiting in the next 2 sets where it says just to put a tool on me and then no abilities. It could be creeping.
Just as long as we don't get back to the time of response-based Pokemon cards.
Oh, Power Spray.
Power Spray was just the worst. It's just the absolute worst.
They'll never again print a card like that. That was Pokemon's one entry into Yu-Gi-Oh world, and that's just not going to happen. So, too weird. Give me one other card. What would be on top of your head? So we've talked about Badoo, Noctowl, Monkey Dory. Is there one other card that you think post rotation is going to be an impactful card? And no, don't give me Zoroark. Something. No. What do you think it'll be?
I really think, and we saw this in the last Japanese tournament, but I think that we will see a lot of Melodic. We talked about it way back when, and we were kind of I think I threw it out there, and I was like, well, this is kind of last minute thought, but what do you think about this? And you were like, nah. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. But it seems like, at least early on in this new meta that's going to pick up here when we get to the Atlanta tournament, that stalling your opponent out, Stone Mask Ogerpon, Melodic, Farafrig, these are viable ways, but we know that we're going to have the Melodic longer than those other cards, most likely. So I just see it being a nuisance, right? Terras are running wild, and if you want to still hit and prevent them, guess what's gone, Corey? The bane of your existence when you would play your old friend, our old water deck that you would just love to say, oh, turn 2, and then they play the Canceling Cologne. And
it's stupid every time. They had it every time.
But Canceling Cologne is gone. There is not an easy way through these wall Pokemon right now.
And there will be. Your Pokemon, they saw the results from the Japanese Champions League with how many Milotic walls were there. And they're thinking of it. They're ahead of the game there. But you're right, Jared. I mean, Milotic can be put into so many decks. And we underestimate, I think we as stall players try to think of the Milotic just needs to win me the game. Where most really good players just say, can you buy me 2 turns? They're not putting Milotic in to drop it and say, checkmate. They're putting it out there to be now your opponent has to expend other resources to get around this. And then that gets my Dragonpult built back up again or whatever. And so it takes some more thought process because it is just easier to lay a stall Pokemon down and turn the brain off. But Milotic will be good enough to be put into decks where it just makes your opponent have to think a little bit more. And that's not going. Terra is going to be everywhere. I mean, and that will open up doors for Archlodon, right? That's probably the newest non-Terra Pokemon that is going to hit the scene here. That's gonna. I mean, it's already in play, but that's going to start seeing a lot of good results. And then obviously Zoroark, but it's Terra for the most part. If you were to say, I bet you in Atlanta, Jared, I bet 75% of the decks have Terra in it or something, right? I mean, it's just going to be rampant.
Completely agree with you.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. I think you could also PS evolutions. We're probably going to see some stuff here and there. The next big set is going to be so telling because what we've been going through recently has been smaller collector sets that have just flown off of sales. Not to say that Surging Sparks didn't have some game-changing stuff in it, but Prismatic Evolutions didn't, in my opinion, just drastically change the meta. But this next set that we're going to have coming out in the next couple of months is going to be game changer.
It's going to be crazy. I love those sets that come out, when rotation hits. I think those are always very intentionally really good. So,
ooh. Well,
all right.
Let's look real quick. I want to talk real quick about
quick
this month. Real quick. So this weekend, we finally get back to some regularity here in NA, Vancouver. It's gonna be big, baby. It's gonna be so big. Will it get tariffed? Maybe. We'll see. But we'll see what happens.
Your entry is 25% more than it would be normally. They've upped the price. They've upped it. Man,
US
Vancouver.
players, I'm so sorry. You probably will get tariffed. And then at the same time, untariffed in Brazil, we have an event going on down there. So that's really exciting. We get two things to look forward to. And then later on this month, we have Stockholm. That is always a super fun tournament. And then all the way over into Australia, we have another tournament in Brisbane, and that's always a well-attended event. So Pokemon is back in March. We're going to have some more concrete things to watch, to talk about as the regional schedule continues, Corey.
All right, Ray, I'm going to throw them out. Aiden Koos on Lost Box wins Vancouver. What was the other one? I had Brazil. William Acevedo on Charizard Pidgeot. My boy William, I kept picking you last year and you fell off. You're coming back. Charizard Pidgeot. It's your deck. You're gonna win it. And then down in Brisbane, I'll take the low hanging fruit. Give me Natalie Miller. She was the runner-up at EUIC. She comes back. She's from Australia, takes down Brisbane in the finals against her teammate Brett Tonneson. That's what and she will be on Dragapult. That's what happens. Mark it, baby. 3 for 3.
I hate to break it to you, but I just need to say one name. I'll take Ryuki in all 3 tournaments. All 3 tournaments. Doesn't matter.
You wouldn't be wrong. You wouldn't be wrong.
Sorry, Natalie at home. I'll take Ryuki. Running anything. Too good. He's too good. Give me Tord Ryuki at Worlds in the final. That's what I want.
It'll happen. What if it was like Tord Ryuki in the semis? Tord wins against some no-name in the finals and then loses again. That would be heartbreak. It'd be heartbreak.
I could see that, but the name better be Jared Dowenhauer.
It better be.
Or Corey Dickman.
Thanks. Leaving me out. All right, that's the end. That's your toilet episode where you now can get up from the bathroom and go back to work.
Quick education moment.
Oh my gosh.
Check for TP before you sit. Quick education moment. Check for TP before you sit.
Finish your Pokemon live game before you wipe. That I speak from experience. It's a little tougher when you try to do one before the other. Just as a heads up. I'm Corey. You're Jared. We will catch you later.
You can find us at roguemedianetwork.com. Teach Me Pokemon Podcast. Come and dive with us.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.